Cloaked, issue number 2. Those of you still out of the loop, this is kind of like a Batman homage or like a rip on the character from Dark Horse Comics, and it's 4 issues long. I gotta say, I really dig what the story is going to do. So, to kind of recap the first issue, this guy Jake Stevens was kind of hired by this Mr. West, this older, eccentric billionaire type, to search about the whereabouts of this guy called the Sentinel. And Sentinel is this vigilante from the real world who went around and shot people with guns. And this guy wants to know who he is, so this detective's on the case to figure out the truth. He meets his old sidekick, which I think they call the Wonder Boy, and Wonder Boy gets killed immediately after meeting with Stevens, so everybody thinks Stevens was kind of responsible for his death. It's awesome. I actually really dig this book. I think the concept is so cool, and it almost plays better being like the homage to these kind of characters. I think that's sick. So we open up this book. It's a flashback to 23 years in the past. We see this crazed guy with a gun and a clown makeup who will later be referred to as the lunatic. He makes the reference to, a penguin with a machine gun, which in one panel, we see that this guy is a parody of Joker, Penguin, and the Riddler. He's making jokes. He's telling riddles. He looks like a clown. He references penguins. He's at like some bank somewhere and he's shooting the place up and he's asking these people all these questions to scare them and terrorize them. And when nobody has the answer, he's getting ready to hurt someone and get pissed. And in comes a Sentinel to bring him down. He just picks him up and you think like the Sentinel's going to kill him because that's what this guy would do. He kills him, but instead the police show up and Sentinel releases the lunatic into their custody. And the police, like at this point in time, are like, this guy's great. He's helping us. Look at this citizen, this law-abiding citizen helping us do the right thing. Cut to the present day, and we see that Jake is being interrogated by the woman who led him to talk to Wonder Boy. He's like, why would I see him in private for hours and then take him to a public place just to execute him there? I'm clearly being set up, and I know it looks like I'm doing it, but I'm telling you, I'm better than that. And he just kind of like makes a stupid comment that just makes it sound like he is responsible for it, which I think is very cool because this guy's trying to do the right thing, doesn't know what he's doing. So it currently looks like he's off the, murder case for killing, Wonder Boy there. But later he goes to meet with another woman who is going to kind of help him on his case here. So he goes into this really nice apartment and this older lady comes in a wheelchair. She says her name is Helen Grenshaw, and when we had our Dick Grayson, homage there, here we have our take on the Lois Lane Vicky Vale character. I think it's really cool. I know some people might be like, oh, this is so obvious. I'm like, it's supposed to be obvious. It's supposed to be you're watching this book play out, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is what would happen if these types of characters were real in essence, and I think that's a really cool thing to see. So Jake kind of reveals, like, I'm here to talk about the Sentinel. I know you covered a lot of his stories, and like, yeah, she did a lot of reporting on the guy, and basically something that put her in the wheelchair connects back to what was happening with the Sentinel. So once again, we get a flashback to an ambiguous time in the past, and we see that she's walking down streets, and she had like a tip-off that there was some big thing going on. And she was like, well, I'm going to just like kind of report on this and get some pictures of this activity. When she's going down this alley and she's seeing like these like shady guys talking, it's like, okay, well, I can go there and like get involved in this. And I'll be like, there was some ego involved with it. So I'm like, I'm going to report on this and I'm going to stop whatever syndicate or whatever's happening here. So she's about to like walk down when something hits her foot and she like kicks a can and everyone's like sees her. And suddenly she's like, oh shit, I got to get out of here. And as she's running away, she's like, something fell in front of me. So I don't know what that was, but immediately she's like hit in the back with a bullet. And then she blacks out. When she wakes up, she's like, I don't know how I survived or what I'm doing here, but there was like a coin in my backpack and I guess that's stopped it from happening. So I'm alive because of that coin. I don't understand how. And she's like, that's a lot, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, that is a lot. Like, that's a interesting thing that happened there. And you never learned who really shot you in the alley? And he's like, no, I never knew that, but I'm positive that was set up. And she kind of goes on like, I don't know why I survived this, but it felt weird, like I was supposed to be shot. And like right before that, there was like the weird stuff with the Sentinel going on. And she's kind of like playing up this idea and something that she's been thinking, that the Sentinel shot her because she was getting too close to being involved in whatever it was the Sentinel was doing. So she's like, I think the Sentinel killed me. I think I was snooping too far. And I think because you're doing it now, you should be worried. And she's like, I don't actually know the guy. I know nothing about him. But if you want to know somebody who might, you might want to talk to the lunatic. He's a real guy. His real name was Jeffrey Walton. He was an accountant, which I kind of like the idea. An accountant going crazy and calling himself the lunatic. That's very real world crazy, isn't it? It's like a numbers guy breaking down. I think that's cool. So Jeffrey's still alive. He's in an asylum somewhere. Don't know how he's doing mentally, but he's alive. If anybody knows anything about the Sentinel, it's going to be this guy. So he says his goodbyes to Helen. He's walking out of the room, and he gets into his car, and he's like, yo, a lot of weird shit going on. You guys know how I can talk to Jeffrey Dalton? He's talking on the phone to, like, Mr. West's Alfred, and suddenly, like, a huge crash comes on his door, and we see that Helen was pushed out the window and killed on his car. So we burst into the room. He's got his gun out. He's running through. He realizes somebody escaped somehow, and there's sirens going off, and it clearly, unapologetically, there's no way around it. It looks like Jake is going to get arrested because it clearly looks like he killed her. Which is fun, you know. I was kind of curious to see how they're going to play it out, and I guess with like this, it's like everybody he talks to about the Sentinel is going to get killed, which kind of means like, hey, back off from the story. And I'm wondering, I said it before, I think it's going to be Mr. West revealed as the Sentinel. I think that's the case we're going for, but I wonder if he's doing this to Jake because he's like, if there's one person that could solve this case and actually figure it out, it's going to be you, and it's all a big test, and he's just taking everybody off the board that could actually help him. But he talks to them after he kills them, so I don't know if they're much help in that regard. Nonetheless, I really dig this book. You know, it's just a cool take on this world. I like the concept for the characters. I like the real world approach where it's like, if a vigilante was real, he would be, you know, revered by a lot, but also feared by the same people. If a crazy guy was alive, he'd be an accountant that went one step too far and went insane. I think that's cool. I love the story. I'm liking the characters. I just like the way it's pacing itself like a detective story, which to me is a win in my books, and I think that's a really cool thing to see. So, Cloaked, issue number 2. I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.